At Let's Play concerning of the early news announced by 2K and Visual Concepts concerning WWE 2K22. And the news got quite a few people hyped. People for the most part are excited, but a lot of us got burned by all these promises the past 7 years and them under delivering on those promises. It took 2K and Visual Concepts roughly 4 games to get it right, and 1 game to completely obliterate, almost obliterate the franchise as we know it. So yeah, 2K15 up to 2K18 was a slow progression to get the series back to almost what it was with the SmackDown vs. Raw series. WWE 2K14, I don't count it as a part of the 2K franchise, even though 2K got the license and slapped their names on it. But that was the last to THQ. And the rights went to 2K, but the game was already signed, sealed, and delivered under THQ and Ukes. And what could I say? 2K14 was a really, really good game on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Really good game. I still play it to this day. Hell, I still put in lots of hours playing WWE 13 on the PS3. That's because I downloaded a modded call that allowed female calls to wrestle male calls on the PS3. So that's why WWE 13 takes up a lot of my playtime. I do play SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. I play 2010. I even pop in SmackDown vs. Raw 2 between 207 to 209 once in a blue moon. I play SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 to 2008 on the Xbox 360. Because those were the best consoles. They were pretty much developed on 360 hardware, so they performed the best on the 360. To 2007 was pretty much the only next-gen console came out on for the era was the Xbox 360, even though it did come out on the PS2. But the 360 is the best version of that game, and 2008 is the 360 is the best version of that game. 2009. I think they started developing for the PS3 on the PS3 hardware. So from 2009 to, I guess, 2K14, the games were pretty much running, even though I think the 360 versions have a little more extra spit shine than the PS3 version. The PS3 has some weird kind of quirks to it, graphical quirks that aren't in the Xbox 360 version. But enough of that. Let's talk about 2K22. New modes. Let's see. So Universe Showcase is coming back, but now they're bringing in a faction mode. They're bringing in a career mode. They're not calling it story mode. They're calling it My Career. So I guess you're gonna be going through this mode and trying to get, make your character Hall of Fame worthy. I never even went through. I beat the story mode in 2K20. Did I beat the story mode? No, I don't think I did. I don't think I beat the story mode in 2K20. I haven't even got past the first part of the story mode in 2K19. I didn't even bother. I should go back and play it, but I didn't bother because you can't port that character out of the story mode and use them. That was one of the reasons I went through the 2K20 story mode, because you can build up your character. You can get like a pretty cool, unique character when you play through that mode, and then port them into your universe mode and make them and keep them as is. They can either be competitive, with the main roster, or they can be complete trash. But it was fun building up, wrestlers from the story mode that I could port into the main game in 2K20. But for now, I guess I'll just have some call wrestle while I talk. But there'll be no music in this one because I've been getting copyright claimed up the ass. Every other video has been copyright claimed. And yeah, I got put on YouTube's algorithm radar, so everything I do, it's under a watchful eye. But So my career mode, they even, I noticed in some of the videos like Smack Talks covered it, Dink Ops, some other YouTubers covered it, pointing out some details. The graphics look a little bit better compared to 2K20, which is good. I'm not too keen on the character designs. I have to get used to them. The textures are a lot better, but if the same kind of quality is not going to be on the cause for created wrestlers, then I'm not going to really care how good the in-game wrestlers are going to look, because I rarely use the in-game wrestlers. So I could care less how the in-game wrestlers look. It's nice that they look good, don't get me wrong, but they don't put that same amount of effort and give you the same amount of tools in making really good calls. They leave that up to the the creation community to do all that. But but the real big announcements was the change of the control scheme. And that kind of has me baffled and also concerned. So I'm going to talk about my concerns first concerning the control scheme. Even though I think the presentation is going to be vastly improved, but all the improvements is going to come with some negatives. I'm already seeing it right off the bat. I can see which direction this game is going. So my concerns is, one of my biggest concerns on the controls and the gameplay, as well as how they might be simplifying and omitting some options. I think the creative wrestler creation suite is going to be nerfed. I feel they might get rid of the create a video option, the highlight reel, because trying to make highlight reel videos and trying to make entrance videos, which I love doing, crashed the cast 2K20. It would crash the game if you do something wrong. I figured out how to navigate around having the game crashing, but the game will still crash. And I noticed this game will crash, because this is the glitch where you can combine two types of hair options on Akane here. And if you have entrances turned on video, then the game will crash. I don't have no entrances on, so it should boot right up. But so that might be the omission. But let's talk about these controls. They have a light and heavy attack now. Remember, you had your basic strikes, you just tap the button, and then to do a heavy attack, you would hold down the button, and those were, I got used to doing that in these games, to where you can build a character, I guess use certain moves in combination and stuff like that. You can make strike-based characters really easily in this game. And I got used to it because the heavy strikes, you can put like moves that were combinations and stuff in it and things like that, which made the game really cool and give you unique creative wrestlers. But the control scheme, they have light, heavy attack, they have a simple grapple button. They put the run button is still the same, but now they have a reversal button, a dodge button, and a block button. So I'm like, wait, hold up. Okay, the last time I played like a wrestling game that isn't like a beat 'em up brawler arcade action wrestling game like All Stars and that crappy brawler beat 'em up wrestling game 2K release, Battlegrounds, WWE Battlegrounds they released last year. Yeah, outside of those games, the only other wrestling game that I played last that had a block was Rumble Roses. Rumble Roses had a reversal and they had a block button. Blocking was good for strikes. You can still get grappled when you block. But the cool thing, you can also reverse strikes and do a counter hit if you reverse a strike. If you block a strike, it doesn't put you at an advantage or disadvantage. But if you reverse a strike, if you reverse a strike, it gave you an advantage. So, but they also offered a dodge mechanic, what they showed in the gameplay video with Big E, I guess, wrestling somebody else. And the person went for a strike, and Big E dodged the strike and did a cool animation where he ducked around and was able to come across with another punch, like a counter punch. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But it's like, in the older games, you know, SmackDown vs. Raw games, you had a separate counter button for strikes and a separate reversal button for grapples. And so it's kind of bringing in that element, I guess, what they're trying to go for. I think you can still reverse strikes, and, you know, that'll give you some form of advantage to counterattack. But you can also make the option to, you know, dodge it. Because I know some reversals, even in this game, if you reverse a strike, you'll dodge it, and you'll come up with, you know, a counter reversal, a offensive reversal attack. So maybe they're kind of incorporating that with the dodge button. If you do the dodge button, you'll probably, you can pick and choose how you want your counterattack will be, which will add, I'm sure it'll add some much needed depth to the series, because it'll be more than a reversal fest. Don't get me wrong. It's like, I love the reversal system. I love the different reversal animations. But it's still a reversal fest at the end of the day. These games have been reversal fests. And when you play with other people. And so this could be them opening up to where, okay, we're making the game have some kind of nuance and some depth to the gameplay, so more skilled players will have more options, you know, whether they just want to block, you know, to just, you know, stop mashing, or if they want to actually risk, you know, using the reversals, because they're still going to have the reversal counters, you know, depending on how good you're wrestling or reversing, you'll have like 2 up to 5. And I'm sure they'll still have those. I turn those off whenever I play the games. It adds, the games still play very well. It just means, you know, you're not spamming, you know, you're spamming reversals, but the computer is as well. So it's like, you can have a bad day reversing and still get your ass kicked by the computer playing this game. You know, and vice versa. The computer still puts up a fight no matter what in this game, even with the reversal counter turned off. What other? They have it where you have to hold down the right trigger and the basic face buttons will make you do your finisher, your signature. You can do a submission, or you can do I don't know if it's like some kind of other option or something. You know, tots go to I think the right analog stick or the D-pad, and it's like, but the fact that this new control scheme is going to throw a lot of people off, but it's also telling me that the simulation heavy aspects that 2K has been ingraining in this series since 2K15 is gone. It's gone now. It's going more arcadey. I think the game is going to play like a funky combination of Here Comes the Pain and probably SmackDown 2000, between 2006 and 2007. It's going to be like an amalgamation of those games. Yeah, you're going to probably see a lot more run attack spam in these games, because that's how you got quite a bit of good offense in those type of arcade games, was a lot of run grapples spam. You know, and plus you can run so fast in those games. But yeah, so the gameplay is going to be a lot more nuanced. But I think the bad thing about this new control scheme is I fear that you're not going to have as many moves. Going to be nerfed. They're going to probably be cut in half. One of the things I love about this game, 2K19, and you know, the series from, I haven't played 2K15. I haven't played the PS4 versions of 2K15 through 2K17. But one of the things I like about them is the high concentration of moves, because they expanded the roster. You're getting at least 70 to 100, you know, wrestlers in these games, and they all have, you know, original moves. And they add a lot of moves to the game. Then you get the DLC, so you got even more moves, and then they leave some moves in from wrestlers in the past games. And so you got a shit ton of moves. It's like it could take you 2 hours to construct not only the look of your call, but your move set, and even to make an entrance and a victory at you know, for your call. That's how much time I put into my call creation. I put hours. And even then, I'm simulating matches just to see how they play, because I'll come up with an idea of what kind of wrestler they would be, and then I put the moves on them. I then simulate a shit ton of games to see if they play the way that I want them to play. And but I fear with this game, with 2K22, that's not going to be the case, because I'm sure they're going to cut the roster in half. I'm sure some wrestlers will still be in the game that got, you know, released by the WWE, because, you know, some of the videos have confirmed that there's t-shirts of Nia Jax. In one of the videos that they showed of the career mode, they showed Buddy Murphy as one of the wrestlers. So these wrestlers will probably still be playable in the games, like the ones who got released. But I say a good chunk of the legends might be gone. And some more controversial releases will be gone, like Velveteen Dream. And some of those other guys will be gone. So, so that's a lot of moves getting taken out the game. That is going to be a lot of moves. And then they're saying that they're rebuilding the game from the ground up. So I know they're going to scrap a whole bunch of... They're going to trim the fat. And it's pretty much... Ooh. How many years? That's like almost 7 years worth of fat. Of what they feel is not necessary. Because one of the problems with 2K20 was it was rushed. Ukes bailed on them. And I think Ukes... 2K19 was very, very polished. This game is polished. There are some glitches and stuff, but of all the 2K games I played on PS4, this is the most polished. And I say because the game is so polished that when 2K20 it was rushed. They didn't have a new engine because they're used to Ukes produced a new engine. And they had to whip something fast, and they couldn't get that new shit they put in the game, whatever stuff they put in, the new graphic engine they tried to introduce into the game. So they used an older build. They used like 2K18 build of the game to build, you know, the game on. And it was a hot mess. Nothing worked. Nothing functioned the way it should have. And yeah, 2K20 was a hot mess because of it. So I feel with 2, they're going to trim a lot of the fat. They're going to simplify the movesets. It's like it's not going to be a total nerf, but I can definitely see, as far as wrestler movesets, they're probably going to go back to at least 2K14. You know, you're going to have, like, you're going to have your basic grapples when you're holding somebody, you know, basically, you know, when you're in a neutral kind of grapple state. Then you're going to have your strong grapples, but you're going to have, but you're not going to have, like I said, it would probably take you 30 to 45 minutes to build your moveset for a creative wrestler in this game. Because they have so many options just from a grapple state, ground grapples. You have seated on them, you have kneeling grapples, you not only have ground grapples, you have ground strikes in this game. The same thing in the corner. You know, you have 8 options to attack somebody on the ground. You have, oh my God, how many options? At least 15 to 20 options to attack somebody in the grapple state. Because you can do submissions in the grapple state. You can do a strong strikes in the grapple state. You can do strong grapples. You can do quick grapples. You can do and heavy grapples. So no, that's about 20 to 30 options just in the grapple state you can do to attack your opponent in this game. And as far as when I simulate matches, you do notice a pattern of what you're called, what moves they're going to do a lot of. And it's and plus, you know, when you build your call, you also got to think, okay, what kind of you know, skills did you give them? It's like, even when you go to your attributes, if you want to make a running high flyer, you got to give them, you know, agility, jumping. You got to give them springboard. You got to boost their springboard offense, and you got to boost up their running offense. So now you got your high flyer. And then your character, like right here, Tammy Tanaka in the blue shorts, she's a running high flyer. You know, she's doing springboards off the ropes. You know, I give her different striking attacks, you know, a lot of her running attacks. She's also a high flying submission specialist. So she will, once in a blue, you know, well, pretty commonly, she will go for a submission in her moveset. I got it to where, you know, she wrestles how I want her to wrestle. But then the cool thing about 2K19, you also have intangibles, whether how aggressive the wrestler is, how respectful, how treacherous. All that affects, you know, how the wrestler wrestles in the ring. See, Akane here, you know, in the red and white, she's a striker. She does have high flying moves, but she's more of a striker-based wrestler. And it's funny, you know, I got, my calls are set on the archetype, but I also noticed in 2K22, they are bringing archetypes, like how they did when you make your story mode, career mode wrestler, in the story mode in these games. They have you pick an archetype, a striker, you know, a brawler, you know, a power wrestler, a technician. They're bringing that back, but I think they're going to apply it to the Call Wrestler Creation Suite as a whole, and not just for the career mode, story mode wrestler. And I'm like, you know, I'm kind of concerned about that, because we all know how 2K loved the whole build mechanics, because they're plagued their freaking basketball game with it. With the whole, oh, you know, I got tired of that shit when I played NBA 2K. Everyone's like, what's your build? What's your build? And it's like, well, this is how my thing is. And it's like, oh, your build is shit. And it's like, okay, when did sports game become RPGs, you know? Only time, you know, I had discussion of builds is when I'm playing like an action RPG or, you know, a tactical RPG role-playing game or something like that. Is the only time you hear like hardcore players talk about builds. But now you're getting that in your sports games. So they're bringing that also to WWE 2K22. And I think it'll work, but it also is kind of limiting, because they did the same thing with SmackDown versus Raw 2008, and you knew how limited that was. You know, you were stuck playing that archetype. You know, you can only use moves that supported that archetype. And it's the same thing with the story mode and on this game when you do your created wrestler and in 2K20. You were only stuck with moves that would go with that archetype, and then you had to play through story mode and unlock all the moves and then buy all the moves, and you had to unlock your entrances and your attire. It was just a tedious pain in the ass. But I can understand them doing that to add longevity to the story mode and something for you to, you know, make you feel like you're building your wrestler over time. So I can understand why they did that. But if they're bringing that same type of, you know, character creation for the, create a wrestler, then, oh my god, I don't think, I wouldn't like that, because it limits freedom. Granted, it will eliminate the high number of 100 rated calls that people make in this game. You know, they'll be stuck with the archetype, And I noticed that even the in-game wrestlers, even in some of the videos they showed the GM mode, which I'll talk about later, that the in-game wrestlers even are stuck under an archetype. So it's like, okay. So so there is a little SmackDown versus Raw 2008 that I'm sensing as far as wrestling archetypes and the wrestlers being stuck to playing that archetype. And yeah, wrestlers are going to have archetypes in this game, in 2K22. So that has me concerned. It's like I am so used to building, I guess, my own builds without having the game presented to me. I come up with a concept of how I want a wrestler to wrestle, and I build my wrestler according to, you know, that concept. But, you know, now it's like 2K is doing it for you. They're like, okay, you want to make a strike-based wrestling? Here you go. Oh, you want to make a high flyer? Well, here's an archetype for you. Here's a build already, you know, pre-made. Oh, you want to go for a powerhouse? Here you go. You want to go for a brawler? If you want a technician, you know, if you want a showman, whatever. And it's like, that's well and good, but if that means I'll have like a limited move list, that's going to kind of suck. But after a couple of nights ago putting in Fire Pro Wrestling World, when you're making your wrestler in Fire Pro Wrestling World, or your edit wrestler, they do have an archetype system, but you can use any move on your wrestler you want, but based on how you your attributes are, how you're making your wrestler with your attributes, they're going to be moves that will be graded that's the best for the build of the attributes of the wrestler you're creating, and moves that are going to suck for that build you're making. So the moves may not work with the attributes, and so your wrestler is not going, you're not going to maximize how your wrestler is going to play, but they still gave you the option to use all the moves in the game in Fire Pro Wrestling World. It's kind of the same in this game as well, where if you're making a high flyer, if you give her nothing but strong grapples and good grapple moves, and then your wrestler is not a very good grappler, yeah, they're not going to be as effective. And then the damage modifiers are linked to those attributes in this game, but they still give you access to every move in the game. But if they had that whole archetype system where set in stone, how about what 2008 was, SmackDown vs. Raw? Yeah, they wouldn't, they locked out moves that you could use. So I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. But they did the same thing with Battlegrounds, that crappy game. It's good as a party game with friends, or when I have nephews or cousins or kids over, and we'll pop, you know, I'll start up Battlegrounds and put out some controllers and, you know, kids or whatever, or I'll play online with some buddies. And it's a good, for me, like a good drinking game, and just to talk shit and show off your creative wrestler. But for it's only good for like 2 hours, and you get bored of it unless you're a kid, because there's no depth to the game whatsoever, because the move set is so limited. So that is my concerns. You know, you're not going to get a lot of moves probably in 2K20. I think the move sets and the move list is going to be nerfed all to hell. And my other concern is, they say, based on some of the video I've seen and some of the YouTube videos, that the presentation is improved, which I like. So that's going to get added to my like. I will discuss more about it early. But here's my concerns with the improved presentation. For something to get added, something has to be removed. And I think what they're adding probably a lot more, you know, camera angles. I noticed that they're bringing in the camera in closer to how the games were with SmackDown versus Raw. You know, the SmackDown vs. Raw series up to 2009. They put the camera in close. And you got a lot of camera cuts. You had you know, they added animations to the finishers and signatures. They add a lot of, you know, oomph and power to moves and stuff like that. You know, the camera angles would change, you know, constantly, even though people used to be mad at the canned animations, you know, because they were attributed to those camera angles. And it's like, I'm happy they're bringing in more of that excitement, kind of, you know, arcadey feel with the camera, because it's been kind of lacking ever since 2K15, actually 2K14 to be honest. Actually, I would have to go back to probably as far back as SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, because by that time they pulled the camera out further. That was the game that started bringing out the camera out, and they got rid of a lot of the camera cuts, and they were experimenting with other shit. The camera cuts, there wasn't as many camera cuts because, you know, a lot of people, you know, that's when the, you know, the marks and the indie wrestling community started taking over, you know, wrestling fandom. They wanted more simulation, more technical based submission, striking, and high flying wrestling. You know, they wanted a little bit more realism to their wrestling. And that's why you had people who are like, oh, 2K15, you know, liking the simulation aspects and stuff like that. And, but now people are realizing that those games, like older wrestling gamers, are realizing the games haven't been as fun. They seem rushed. They seem just not as good as the games that came back out on the PS2, you know, the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And so they want to go back to more of that excitement, you know, more fun-based wrestling. Because I would have to say I am so used to the game's controls with these games that it doesn't seem like work playing these games. But there's a lot of overkill in terms of moves in this game. So it's gonna be interesting to see how much they trim the fat. Oops, I was trying not to play.
Here we go, fellas. I've been looking forward to this one for quite some time.
This is gonna be a challenge because what's her name's 100. Alright, there's only 90.
She's still in this one.
So it's gonna be interesting from a challenge perspective. How 2K22 is going to play. Oh, I hit that? But yeah, my concerns about it are just rooted in the fact you know, the camera cuts, something is going to be removed, and I know, and well, the highlight reel and the video editor might get taken out. Because just for the fact it was, you know, just glitchy. And I think with the highlight reel video, they could simplify it to where they'll have so many camera cuts in the game that you won't have to do much editing. Because, yeah, but the highlight reel tool in this game, you have to pretty much, you know, do some work as far as getting the camera angles and dynamic camera angles right if you want your highlights to look decent and things like that. Dang, this chick is just coming at me. I almost dumped her on top of the ref. And another complaint was they don't even have a button to throw people to the corner in the ropes, which is the circle button. Yeah, you no longer have that button no more. Which is surprising. So it's like, wait, how are you going to be? They might do it sort of like SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Oh, she dodged that. Where where you have to hold down the right trigger or the grapple button, and then the direction to where you want to throw your opponent, whether to the ropes or until the corners. So yeah, I could see them. They're taking a lot of inspiration for the SmackDown vs. Raw games in terms of control and probably, you know, what you can do as far as the gameplay. She out of stamina? She's not even attacking me. Dang, her grapples fast. Oh, damn. Damn, that's... Wow, I wasn't even hurt. I wasn't even hurt, and she hit me with a punch once, and I'm already in orange. It's like whoever said these games are not fun. Yeah, they're old school SmackDown versus Raw player, or Here Comes the Pain. But there we go. See, I try to have the computer play so that way I can do more talking, but now they got me playing, so now I had a Dynamite's probably my funnest wrestler to use. Ugh.
I bet you feel foolish riding her off now.
Ow.
'This could do it.
2, 3. There we go. Got the win.
These women put on quite a show. Here's another look. That's what I love about the WWE.
Now, granted, that was just me really just focusing on winning. And I took her out pretty quickly.
This was another great moment.
It wasn't a squash match. Well, it was kind of squash. I had control of most of that match. She did get some offense in. That punch though was too quick. If I didn't have resiliency, I probably would have lost that match. I probably wouldn't have been able to kick out.
Extremely impressive win, guys. Now that's having a game plan. And
I think I got to remove like her. There's something underneath that thing that I got to remove. Diana Dynamite's my favorite wrestler. I can't help it. One of the best calls I ever created in this game. From a gameplay and just a simulation standpoint, my best wrestler, one of my best. But I have to say my best. I'll just say she's my best. But yeah, so I'm thinking there's going to be quite a bit of things taken out the game. I know I keep repeating that, but it's going to happen. But let's get up to actually I had notes because I think I went to I left a huge comment on the Smack Talks group. Okay, where'd I put my phone? Oh, there it is. Well, the Smack Talk YouTube channel, basically of my concerns and stuff like that. So I'm going to look at that comment that I left. It was a very long-winded comment, but I need to get a lot of stuff off my chest that a lot of people were not talking about in the comments. Everybody's like, oh, I'm hyped, or they're kind of skeptical, which is understanding. But based on all the news that we got and the info that Smack Talks provided, so the build aspect has me concerned, but I think it might work out because I know they've been working on this game for almost 3 years. And the game is coming out almost 3 years. The game came out in 2019. Well, 2K20 came out in 2019. So it's been almost 3 years since the last 2K wrestling game. So yeah, I talked about my creations we concern is the highlight reel and create a video option. It was vital to content creators like myself because I enjoyed creating unique calls with their own entrance videos. But it was bugging in 2K20, so I brought that up. As far as the presentation, you also have the extra modes. I think it's overkill. Okay, what's the faction mode all about? I know they have it to where you can create your own stable. I don't know how that's going to play out. They're still going to have a universe mode, and I think they're going to make that kind of new and improved. They did show a screen where it's like they'll show wrestlers' wins and losses for the year. You know, from WrestleMania to the next year WrestleMania. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. And, you know, you can write down their win-loss record for that year, and then the next year, you know, it'll probably be back to 0-0. But you can keep track of your wrestler's progress, you know, in universe mode year to year, which I think that's a great improvement because I miss wins and losses And I also missed the importance of match ratings, which they had in 2K18 and 2K15 from then, but they kind of shortchanged it in 2K19 and 2K20s, where those were no longer relevant anymore. Match ratings no longer mattered. So I'm happy that they're bringing back the importance of that. I don't know how far it's going to go, but we'll see how it goes. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about that GM mode. Based on the videos and the screenshots of what's going on, GM mode has me excited. I never really put a lot investment in the GM modes in 2007, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 or 2008, or even in 2006 for that matter. But the fact that I played Fire Pro Wrestling in their own kind of GM mode in that one, managing wrestlers' salaries and things like that, and booking shows, booking a good show to where you gain more fans. You put your stars at the forefront, you try to build up stars, you try to keep the wrestlers in the locker room happy, managing contracts, managing rivalries, managing feuds. There's a method to that madness. And even in Fire Pro Wrestling, that little GM mode, my promotion, my show that I'm running is only probably the 6th best promotion out of 8 promotions. So it's like my little promotion is not totally garbage, but it's not middle of the pack or good for that matter. And the best promotion has only 8 wrestlers. It's like my promotion has at least, I think, 15 to 16 wrestlers. And but the best promotion only have 9 wrestlers in Fire Pro Wrestling, yet they're like the most popular wrestlers ever, and people just, I guess, support it or like it more or makes more money. But I think my promotion is the fastest growing because it's like we've even picked up some good free agents. We kind of did joined up with the smaller rival promotion and puts on programs and shit like that. And I think the most selling point that make 2K22 a must buy, if I can create my own show how I can in universe mode and GM mode, and have nothing but cause, and try to make that the best show, against SmackDown and Raw. If I can do that, along with my create options, how you create a show in universe mode where you can put a whole bunch of cause. You can even make your little show intro animations and stuff like that using the video editor. If I could do all that and insert my own promotion in the GM mode, oh yeah, 2K22 will be my day one release buy if they'll let me do that. But based on the video, Smack Talk video, go to that channel. They have more detailed, broke down info about how the GM mode works. But to me, it looks like a more easy to navigate, menu and interface, but it's no different than what it was in 2008. I'm sure they're going to have some more in-depth moments where you can play, simulate, spectate matches, juggling contracts and stuff like that. But I don't know what else new they can put in there other than the fact that you can put your own kind of wrestling promotion into it. Because right now WWE only has 3 brands. They got rid of 209. Was it 209? No, 205. They got rid of 205. They don't no longer have main event. I don't know if they still got NXT UK anymore. I think they do. So you're only going to have 4 brands to compete with, in GM mode. You're only going to have SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. And they might add UK, whatever. But if you can make your own brand, that would be sick. Sort of like how, in the universe mode, you can create your own show. But in universe mode, you're not competing with the other, shows. But in GM mode, you're competing with other shows. Because you could do that in the Fire Pro Wrestling one. I'm sure they paid attention a lot to what Fire Pro Wrestling did with theirs, which is really no different than the earlier SmackDown games, except I think Fire Pro, you know, you actually got to build facilities. You know, you're starting from the ground up. You know, you don't have the resources of the WWE. You know, in the beginning, you got to grow up to it. So I'm hoping that you can be able to put your own show in there. You know, start out with a budget and just go from there. You know, and ingrain that into the GM mode. If they do that, that would make a day one buy for me. What are my? That's one of the things I like. Another thing I do like the presentation, the camera angles, the stuff they're bringing back. You know, there's going to be definitely a cross between Here Comes the Pain and the SmackDown versus Raw games. Graphics, they do look better. Like I said, with the in-game wrestlers, I don't know how that's going to apply to Cause. We'll see how it applies to Cause, but you know, it requires the Call community to bring that, and I have to give much props to the creators. You know, the Call makers, the texture makers, the ring creators, the logo creators. And 2K19 still going strong, still putting up content. And that's why I keep playing 2K19, because I can still go on community creations and still find shit that, you know, I could use on my cause, or wrestlers that I could play in my universe, or a ring I could use. And that's really what's, keeping the longevity of these games. But another thing that got me hyped was Smack Talk talked about 2K saying that they added some enhancements to the creation suite as far as created wrestlers, that you might be able to create quote-unquote unknown wrestlers. Now, if you've been playing the game since the early 2000s, even as fact as the late 90s in the SmackDown games, you can choose, as far as your genders, you can choose male, female, or unknown. And, you know, everybody talks about things being progressive, but the wrestling games were probably the most progressive games of their times and era, just for the fact, because I guess because of Goldust being kind of gender ambiguous as a wrestler, when he debuted it, you didn't know if it was male or female or whatever. He's trying to be sexually ambiguous. You can make a gender ambiguous character. You can make a male or female looking Ka and just classify them as unknown. Now, what made this interesting is once you did that for Ka, well, if you made a male looking unknown Ka, unknown gender, they could contend for the female belts. They could contend and go for and win the female wrestling belts. Now, if you did this with a female looking Ka under the unknown gender, you can go for the top male belts, all the male belts, as a female looking Ka. Well, basically as a female Ka. And because I know, you know, the WWE, they had a rules where women couldn't face men, even though they had the mixed tag team. You know, they brought that back in 2K20, but they took it out. I think after 2K14 or around that time, they took it out, they brought it back. They even had, you could play, I think in all the SmackDown games, female on male, up until SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 is when they got rid of it. But the good thing about it is they had women playing more wrestling types. So you can have female wrestlers playing Hell in a Cell, ladder matches, steel cages, Extreme Rules, because women were not doing those matches in the video games, you know, up to that point. So they were like, okay, we got rid of gender matches, but now your women can do it. You can use your female wrestlers in Hell in the Cells and throw them through flaming tables and all kind of shit, because you couldn't do that in the other games. And so But now I think they might be bringing it back. But the way they can circumvent it is to just have, you know, classify your wrestler as being unknown. And, you know, with all the progressive socio-political politics concerning, you know, the alphabet community, I don't mean that in derogatory terms, because my sister, she is lesbian and she's married. I love my sister and her wife to death, their family. I had no issues with people in their, you know, sexual orientation or whatever. The only ones that get to me are the ones who kind of pretend a bit, but you know, that's a whole other discussion. But as far as this option with the unknown cause is like, well, that means people who you know the transgenders and like that, they could finally, you know, make, you know, transgender cause, you know, because I've seen some people in the creation suite in this game, they'll make a male call look, or they'll make a male call and they try to make them look female. It doesn't work because that male call, the female looking male call, can only still wrestle males, and females can only still wrestle females, even though I have encountered a glitch a few times in this game where I will be booked in a match where I would have a female, especially in universe mode. In universe mode, it happens quite a bit, where I will randomly, you know, have one of my female wrestlers booked against a male wrestler, and I'll be able to play the match, surprisingly, without the game crashing. So, that does occur, but if they can make this happen, it will be a way to kind of, you know, WWE won't have a big deal with this, saying, okay, we can just say they're unknown, they're not male or female. And then that way, you know, we can actually have, you know, female wrestlers wrestle males and have male wrestlers wrestle females, you know, without them being classified as male or female, because the wording will be is like they're not male or female, they're unknown, they're genderless. So I know that was one of their requests or suggestions that they were taking from the community. GM mode was at the top, but I would think in the top 10 suggestions was intergender matches. So if they brought back the unknown, if they brought that the unknown freaking option and create a call, the 2K22 is a must buy. It's a must buy for me. It is a must buy. And I'll probably be the last wrestling game that I will probably buy, you know, ever, because I don't plan on buying a PS5 or Xbox Series X anytime soon. So, yeah.
Things are not looking very good right now.
2K22 will probably be the last wrestling game I will buy, and for a while. And based on the direction they're taking with the gameplay, with the game, and then one of the other top suggestions for the game was the fact try to treat it like games as a service, where they will update the rosters, they will update the attires, and stuff like that. Now, if that's going to happen, that means they can keep updating 2K22 for about 2 or 3 years without making another game. Oh, damn. And I hope they consider that. You know, I hope they consider it. It'll give them more time to work on games, too. It'll give them a lot more time to update. Because I think with 2K22, it's basically a reboot. And that's why I'm keeping my expectations to a minimum. Because I know that, you know, the wrestling series is getting another game reboot. So, this game is just going to add another foundation. It's just a foundation to what they plan on doing down the road. Because I think after this game, it's basically 2K15 all over again. But instead of just overhauling the graphics, they're overhauling everything. Since the game been almost 3 years in development, they have no excuse, especially after that dumpster fire that 2K20 was. The game has to be great. It has to be. If it's not great, then then it's not going to erase the stank of 2K20. It's not. I'm not saying the game has to be perfect, but it just has to be great. There are games that are great that are not perfect, but this game has to be great. And I think that's what they're going for. So I really hope it works out. But if it has, you know, if the GM mode is just an enhanced version of what it was in 2008, it's going to do well. It's going to do well. If the graphics are better than they were last year, and not as glitchy, if the game is not glitchy, if everything runs well, which is why I think they're going to trim a lot of the fat. Like I said, don't be surprised if the move list, like all the moves, like they removed at least 50% of it. Don't be surprised. It's just like before, you had probably 500 to 700 moves in the game. Don't be surprised if they reduced that to like 200 or 250. I kind of like Kobayashi's new attire. It's working for her. Well, this is her kind of her heel attire. It's funny. I think Faith Kobayashi would be better as a heel than a face. I think she would be better as a heel. I might have her go that route in my little universe mode. But so yeah, the unknown cause, that would be so awesome. But I think my only nitpicks that I think that would, you know, kind of annoy me. I know this is gonna just sound so trivial and kind of stupid, but I noticed it in 2K female wrestler boob physics. Yeah, I know. Only a pervert would recognize things like that. But call me a pervert. I'm a pervert. And 2K19, you got boob jigglage, but in 2K20, it was gone. Women's boobs were rocks. You know, they were boulders. They were just mounds of plastic on their chest. No movement whatsoever. That could have been attributed to the game engine being a hot mess, which is, you know, kind of what happened with I think Warriors Orochi 4 on the PS3, because people realize it's like, wait a minute. On a Switch version, you got boob jigglage on most of the female characters. You know, even when they're in a little character selection screen, you know, when they're just standing there and they're animating, the boob jigglage. Even in the game, the boob physics are, you know, what Tecmo is known for. But then the PS4 version, no, it's barely there. And then people realize this because if you lower the because the Switch version, it's lower in graphical quality and frames per second, but if you lower the frames per second to about 30 FPS, then you get the boob physics. But sadly, the PS4 don't have that option. You can't lower the frames per second, but in the PC version, somebody tested it, and you can lower the frames per second, and the boob jigglage is there. So they're never gonna own up to, you know, Team Ninja saying they censored the game for the PS4, which is, you know, funny because, you know, the Switch version, they don't have issues with censorship, but the PS4 Sony does. You know, maybe they did that on purpose so they won't catch shit, you know, from Sony, which would be smart, but it kind of is annoying for perv gamers like myself who like those little details in their games, you know, boob physics, ass physics. You know, who like that. You know, it's annoying not to have it, to me, in my opinion. But I think that might be gone, even though they did show Amada Bailey. Bailey looks great. I hope they bring back boob physics. I do hope they bring back the boob physics animation. It was funny in WWE 2K20. making female calls was not as good as this one. For some reason, you can make really fat, grotesque, looking female calls, but the funny thing is like, in this one, you can give your female calls nice asses, like right here. But in 2K20, not only can you give them nice asses, you can give them big asses. You can give them cake. I mean, big, fat asses. I mean, big asses. I mean, huge. And it's like some of the skin options will make it look like your female wrestler has cellulite. So you can make your female wrestlers have cake with lots of extra dough. Cellulite and skin texture discoloration and everything in 2K20. Because I noticed they were trying to go with more realistic textures so they won't make wrestlers look plastic. And they even applied that to some of the call options. So, yeah. So I hope they bring back boob physics. I hope so. But it's fine. It's fine if they don't. I'm not gonna be too upset about it because I still got these old games. I can still play these older games and be perfectly fine. If the game plays a better version of 2K20 with a lot more enhancements, better graphics, and stuff like that, I'll be fine. I'll be fine with them sacrificing, half the move list. But there are quite a few moves I like having access to. In 2K19, I'm sure they'll have a move pack where they will probably over time as DLC re-add those, reanimated, versions of the moves they took out as a move pack back in the game. I'm sure they will do that over time. So, out the box, day one, the game is not going to be complete. Because I think they're going to try to go for games as a service. I think the game will evolve over time, over a course of a year and a half. I think 2K22 will become a better game out the box. I think it's going to be a good experience. It needs to be great. It can't just be good. Because 2K19 is good. 2K22 has to be great. It has to be better than this game. It's like, it can't be a success if it's just better than 2K20. That's not saying much. Nah, it has to be better than this game. It has to have everything that this game has done and more and better in order for 2K22 to be a success. But I think it's going to sell very well just on the announcement of GM mode alone. Just based on that alone, it's going to be a day one buy for a good chunk of the, wrestling game community. The funny thing is, I don't think 2K22 is not coming out till March, if I'm being correct. Ooh, nice. And you also have the AEW game coming around, probably around that same time. That game got delayed till next year as well. And I think AEW is waiting. They are waiting. They're waiting and they're seeing what 2K is doing with 2K22 before AEW makes any announcements or anything as far as the release date, changes in gameplay, stuff like that. All I know is we're going to have two possibly really, really good, great wrestling games next year. I think it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. Overall, you got two options. Even though WWE's product is kind of sad, but I knew they were going to purge a lot of those wrestlers they hired and decided to hoard between 2013 to 2018. Wow, that was a quick match, but it was entertaining, though. Faith Kobayashi's on a winning streak. Dang, they even showed all highlights of that match. It went so fast. Actually, I think I might have to
The action we see each and every year at Money in the Bank
And just the
simply
skin tone
never ceases to amaze
on her
me.
legs. Her legs are paler than the upper half of her body. But yeah, so I'm excited, but at the same time I'm also I'm more cautiously optimistic, more so than excited. I'm more cautiously optimistic because like I said, you know, we got the older games. I'm still enjoying, still exploring a lot of good things I could do in 2K19 that it's going to be hard for me, and it's going to be a while to adjust to a new game, a new control system, you know, new gameplay mechanics that 2K22 is going to have that's been announced. I mean, come on, a block button in a wrestling game. The last wrestling game, like I said, I played with a block button was Rumble Roses, and I rarely used it. I rarely used it. But it's good for people who master striking, but that just opens you up to being grappled. But then 2K22, they took it one step further. Like, not only can you block and reverse, but you also have a dodge button. So it's like, oh, okay. A dodge button? I can bob and weave and counterattack. So instead of just like in this game, reversal, just you'll get an animation of you doing a dodge and then a counterattack, you know, which was fine for what it is, but now you have more manual control of how you want to defend, reverse, and give you some form of advantage in exchanges in the ring. So I'm like, okay, I could see you maybe they're trying to go more esports. You know, with their game, maybe they're like, okay, we want the high level players to have more options to where it's not just a reversal fest for you guys who want to play at that, you know, that high level of play, you know, where you take these games seriously and you just want to at a competitive level, even though wrestling games are never balanced, because look, we got ratings. But you know, for you guys who want to go that route, you know, we got a little something for you. So it's like, okay, cool. That's interesting. It's like for the newbies and the casuals, that means if they go online, for like people who get a hold of the controls and know what the defensive options to dodge and take advantage of the blocking along with the reversals can do. Oh yeah, you go see some ass whoopings. you go have some people actually salty in wrestling games, because most people, don't get me wrong, in the older games, because of glitches, because I started playing the games online as far back as like with SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 up to like 2013, you know, you played against cheese, a lot of cheese. I mean, just ugly cheese, whether it was like game-breaking creative finishers that froze your character in the ring or froze you out of the rings till you got counted out. You had a lot of trolls online just freezing you in matches, or, you know, you had creative finishers that were just busted where they would just put your character in the red. Or in my case, to get rid of all the cheesers, was I just turned the knockout option in my matches online. So if I was playing against a cheeser who had a weak reversal game, if I got in enough offense, I didn't have to pin you. I just had to beat you so bad that I would just knock you out. You know how much hate mail I got from people from that? Some people thought I was a glitcher. You know, some people thought I had a hacked game because they were mad how they lost. They're like, wait, how'd I lose? Wait, you can't get knocked out of wrestling games. And then I told him, I said, yes, you can. There's a knockout option when you set up matches. He said, so you don't have pin to win? I said, no, I still got pin to win on, but I also, you know, pin submission is still on, but I just turned on knockouts. And what I did is I had a created female wrestler where a lot of her moves, like striking and kicks, you know, would make you get knocked out. And that's what pissed a lot of people off. That's what made playing online fun for me, because it made it a lot more skill-based and it was for me to, you know, counter the cheese that I faced a lot of online, which was a lot of cheese. Because most people right now, unless you're using your story mode call, I think the last one people took it seriously was probably 2K19. Was the last time people took it seriously. I tried to play some online matches with my created call, but luckily, since you get matched up with people who are your skill level, so it was like it was easy to win matches. It was also kind of hard because both people's wrestlers were like low rated, so you only had like 2 or 3 counter tokens, and that was tough. You had to pick and choose when to counter. You know, you had to manage what type of offense you were going to take and what type of offense you were going to counter. And since we were playing against other people's calls, you didn't know what their offense was until after you took a beating, what they were doing. So it was annoying, but with the new gameplay options they have, it's going to take people probably a week. You know, high-level players who play these games for hours, like myself, probably a week to get used to the new control options. It may take a few days for, you know, people who's going to play it 24/7 when it comes out to get used to the control options. I don't know. Will Booby kick out? Will she kick out? Oh, 2. Nope, she kicked out. She did kick out. And it's also going to probably take a good month to a year to get all these cool textures, like the pants that Booby got on, the girl in the black boots with the Cobra logo above the crack of her ass. That's a texture. Somebody took like one of the pair of pants and they put like a texture over it, and they put it on their created wrestlers. And in this game, you can download the created wrestler and then import the tire and put it on your wrestler, or you can even put it in the in-game wrestlers. Ooh, that was nice. And so it's gonna take a year and a half for the creation community to come up with some really good textures for cause. It's gonna take a while. And 2K20 was so bad that a lot of good, creators didn't even bother investing in the creation shit on there. And it's like 2K18 was like dead so quickly that not a lot of good shit was made. And plus, I really didn't go into creation that created community creations that often to see what they had. But in 2K19, been playing this game for what, 3 years? I check every day. Log on to this game and see what people put in this game. This is probably the more creation suite friendly game of the 2K games they released. And hopefully, dang, Booty is putting in work. Suzuki had a rope break. I need to make her a little bit taller. She's so short. Oh damn, that rolling elbow. Oh, she used to say, oh, okay, you pissed me off. You pissed me off, little lady. Well, she started tapping her like a rag doll. Boop. 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 That's not a finisher though. I even made Kitty like her own entrance. I still got that video I did, but I deleted her entrance. I changed it, deleted it, because they only allow you to keep so many videos like highlight reels and videos take up a lot of space in this game, and it looks like they only gave you a limited amount of space to save and do those videos. Granted, if you just use like simple, like if you just have a name of a wrestler and a simple animation and maybe a logo, oh, she countered it? Nice. So you could probably make quite a few entrance videos. But if you're using like highlight reel, video, clips, and you know, other stuff, then yeah, it's gonna take up quite a bit of space and only give you like a certain amount of space. I don't know if I probably deleted like the rings, probably some belts, and some other shit. I could probably make room for more videos, but I think they only give you a certain amount of space in this game.
Keep your eye on this one.
Ubi is putting in work.
She might have
She's kind of like my young gun rookie. Ooh, yeah, I gave her that as a finisher.
She goes for the cover.
I think that might be it.
Gets the shot.
Oh,
What's it going to
Wildcat
take?
kicks
Wow,
out.
I thought this was over.
Yeah, Wildcat was probably my first. She's one of my best calls. She was probably my first busted call where she just didn't lose. Like, her win percentage was ridiculous. She won 7 out of her 10 matches. She had a 70% win percentage. Only time she lost if the match was a squash, interference, and if somebody beat her fairly, the match took like 15 to 30 minutes long to beat her because she just kicked out of everything. Yeah, she was my first busted call. I think I just gave her a really good moveset, you know, gave her resiliency, stuff like that. So and she builds up meters so well. So she'll always she's very offensive, so she always builds up that meter where she can, you know, trigger her resiliency and other shit pretty fast. But yeah, 2K22, it has to be great. Oh, that rolling elbow again. Man, it's just, I don't know. I also noticed in this game that certain wrestler like types match up better against certain other wrestling types. Ooh. Yeah, since they're both high flyers, I think they have a harder time taking each other out than if she wasn't a high flyer, and vice versa. But oh, here comes, I think this might be it. Look at these rotations. Wow, she almost missed, almost botched. Two, she might be out. Yep. She ain't go. You ain't gonna kick out of 2 of those.
And here's another look at what made that match so special.
That was a good match.
Who can forget this? She's taking care of business.
Actually, I think I could probably have Booby in that attire being a tag team with Faith in her heel attire.
And that's exactly how she wanted to end this thing.
If somebody was able to make attires that have like nipple prints in it, like this one. I don't know if you can notice it, but there's like she got hardened nipples in her top.
Back in the ring ASAP. What an amazing match. I think I can safely speak for all of us when I say,
See the boot physics, she had jiggle physics. And like I said, simple textures that a community have built that 2K has not attempted to do. I haven't seen good like textures as far as skin textures for cause since SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. That game, you can probably make the most like 2008 and 2009 had like the best like skin textures for cause. Granted, you know, 2008, like 2007, 2008, like the hair options, you know, the face sculpture and stuff like that was horrible. But 2009, oh my god, I made some hot looking female calls and they look just as good as the female calls in the game. The same applied to the male calls as well. You can make some really good looking, you know, male calls. But because the skin textures, they got the hair right, they got everything right. And then they just scrapped it when 2010 came out. 2010 was so disappointing to me on so many levels. It was. Gameplay wise, it was an improvement. You know, as far as, you know, your female wrestlers being able to do more match types was an improvement. You know, more moves you can do in your move sets was an improvement. No more over reliance on the analog stick for grapples was an improvement. So yeah, it was an improvement, but graphically it took a step down. It did. And in 2011 it took another step down graphically. And then 2012 they still use the same graphics, but they changed the lighting. So it looked a little bit better. It looked, yeah, better, much better. Cause actually, yeah, no, wait. Yeah, 2010, okay. Okay, that's weird. Okay, I'm getting my games confused. Okay, no, 2010. Okay, that's weird. 2010 kind of got, you kind of had the analog grapple system for simple grapples, but it wasn't that prevalent. And then 2011, they just, because it was like 2011 was the heart of the PG era. Yeah, it was like, it was the, like at the heart, like the epitome of the PG. Kid friendly. Plus they changed the whole physics engine. That physics engine in 2011 for weapons, it was the best wrestling games for physics, like extreme matches, you know, doing spots, tables, ladders, and chairs, Hell in the Cell. It was the best wrestling game. It was. It was. I still play 2011. I like it. It did have some glitches, like the 2-count glitch. Where no, it wasn't a 2-count glitch. It was a glitch where wrestlers had a hard time kicking out if they didn't have resiliency. You can like do, if you see that they're starting to hurt or be weak, you can end a match with a drop kick or a basic strike. Just do it and just pin them, and the computer wouldn't kick out like half the time. And it was like, it made the game butt crack easy to play. Ooh, Booby is just going in. Yeah, this is her basic attire, her face attire. Yeah, Booby got that ass. I like it. It's a more playful attire. One of my few cars who wear shoes and not high-heeled boots. Had a female friend of mine and was like, she's like, man, all your wrestlers are alike. And then she saw Booby and she's like, oh, I like her. She's cute. And she's not wearing boots. Wearing thigh-high boots. You know, she likes wrestling. She's like, I don't get it. So maybe that's just your fetish. She said, yeah, it's probably my fetish. She said, but she likes Booby. She likes Booby's look. And I don't know, I kind of base Booby on her. Because, you know, my friend, she's kind of short. Filipina. With a nice ass. So she was like, yeah, I could see that. But Booby came out well. Right now she's getting her ass kicked by Gail Kim. Somebody made a Gail Kim call. I miss Gail Kim. It's like you play those wrestling games from like 10 years ago. You got Kelly, Gail Kim. I remember I actually watched that Royal Rumble, whatever, or Battle Royale match where she just eliminated herself. And that was the day she got fired by the WWE and never been back since. It's funny because she is a WWE Women's Champion, and I think she's a Divas Champion. But I heard stories that she's one of the wrestlers that Vince McMahon never liked. He didn't like her. I haven't heard her say too much heat about the promotion. Otherwise, she didn't like, you know, they didn't do much with her. You know, she left way before the Divas Revolution. I think she left, you know, right when AJ Lee was coming in as a rookie, wearing kind of a similar outfit to Booby with the little plaid kind of green, whatever. And I think that's where this guy got her textures from AJ Lee. I should put this texture of the AJ Lee cloth. And yeah, Gail Kim. I didn't get to see a lot of her in WWE. I didn't really watch Impact Wrestling, where they say that's where she did a good chunk of her best work. Did she do something with that? Nope, didn't do nothing with that. Which is weird because I was playing WWE 13 with that move that Gail Kim just did. What's his name? Justin Gabriel? He was no longer with the company. He was a part of the what the fuck were they called with Wade Barrett? The Nexus. He was like their high flyer. And he had that move, and I would set up him doing a springboard from outside on the apron. But in this game, no. You give that move to a call, it's like unless you plan on using it, it's useless for that call. It's useless. It is. Because they never do anything with off of it. They'll just climb back in the ring. They rarely do a springboard to get back in the ring and make an attack. Because it's a good way to set up a combo into an attack. Yeah, uh-oh.
That could be it, guys.
They'll be in here putting work on Gail Kim. Yeah, 2K22. I am cautiously optimistic. I feel the game is going to be good. But it needs to be great. It needs to be great. You know, it can't be a 7 out of 10. It can't. It can't be an 8 out of 10. It can't. It needs to be a 9 or a 10 out of 10. It can't be just a 7 or 8. It can't just be better than 2K20. Like I said, it has to be better than this game. It has to be. I'm sure when I get it, I'll probably be playing it a lot more than 2K19. Especially after I get used to playing 2K22. I'm sure that will be the case. You know, the GM mode will keep me interested. The changes to Universe will keep me interested. If the call mode is good, If the call mode is good, that'll keep me interested. Oh, there we go. She did the eat defeat. That's a real finisher. At least the Gail Kim call is accurate to how she really wrestles. So good job to the Gail Kim creator. She gets the win. Pretty entertaining. You know, short match there. Only about 6-7 minute match. Both women got their offense in. Gail Kim gets the win. Yeah, Booby, she's only like she's a mid-card wrestler. Even though she just upset Wildcat Suzuki. But like I said, if two wrestlers have the same type of wrestling style, then they have a better matchup against each other, and they could beat each other easily than somebody who doesn't have a similar wrestling style. And Gail Kim has a more, you know, different kind of wrestling style, and she gets the win over Booby. Yeah, no texture on that face though. I'm sure I might could find a Gail Kim call that has a texture, but for in-game created Gail Kim, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good call. I think they were more concerned with the attire and the moveset than her face. That's why I create my own calls. I don't make many calls based on actual wrestlers. I stopped doing that ever since I think 2K14. I guess we'll watch one more match, then I'll end this stream. So I gotta use the restroom. What time is it right now? I'm surprised. It's only going on 10 o'clock. I was thinking about doing some sexy Libre, but I'll be too occupied with you know, paying attention to the matches than I am with the actual talking about what I wanted to talk about concerning 2K22. But yeah, 2K22, it needs to be a great game. It can't just be good. Actually, let's see if Bombshell Bunny can beat her master. You know, her senpai, her waifu, well, not her waifu, but the leader of her faction, Dark Embrace, in a match. I think Bombshell could. She has the same ratings as Booby. Bombshell puts on great matches. Bombshell Bunny puts on very good matches. She's tough to beat. But she can get her ass kicked. I think 80, like the mid 80s is a sweet spot. I don't know, I think any wrestler rated 80 to probably an 89, good mid-carders. They will put on good matches, like 90 of the time. They're gonna win majority of the time. But I think your jobber should probably be at least a 75. I would say, like, I don't know, you can make some pretty good low 70 jobbers, pretty good low 70 wrestlers. You'll just have to lower certain attributes, so you would have to make those wrestlers very one-dimensional to be your jobbers. Like I said, to make a really good roster, to make a balanced roster, to make competitive wrestlers and stuff like that, you really gotta micromanage. You gotta really focus on how you want to build it. And what I learned playing 2K19 for 3 years is that these games are very flexible. They're very open-minded if you're creative enough and got the time to fully dissect the systems. There's a lot of mechanics under the hood of this game compared to like the previous SmackDown vs. Raw games, because I love simulating matches in this game. All the good chunk of the matches are competitive. Now I can pop in 2K18, but that's the game where they introduced the squash mechanic, where you would have random squash matches where, like, if you have like a wrestler that is like rated 10 more points higher than the other wrestler, yeah, that match is going to be over in like a minute or 2 minutes, and you didn't know. The match would start, and you would notice your wrestler has, you know, that little perk or whatever where it shows like you got debuffed during the start of the match, and then your opponent is buffed and all in the green, so they're doing more damage than you are, and it's like, yeah, you're in a squash match. You're gonna have to fight for this one.
This is going to be big.
Boobies go top rope. Oh yeah, I put Booby some penny loafers. Oh, you missed the missile drop kick. No heels on Bombshell Bunny there. Got a little bunny tail. Ooh, got her with the spear. All that's a texture. Even the pants and the top for Anna Black, that's all textures. Like I said, the creation community, you know, much love to the community, man. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be playing this game that often. I could make some truly unique calls, could add a little sex appeal to a game that hasn't had any sex appeal since they got rid of all the underwear and panties options for female calls. And the fact that you can't give your female calls bodaciously big tits. Like I said, like 2K14 was the last SmackDown vs. Raw game you can give your female call like basketball for breasts. Actually, in SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, you could just make your female call just one big pair of boobs. Just walking boobs. But once the YouTube era started and people, you know, and they made you able to stream games or upload, you know, highlights of your gameplay to the internet, yeah, companies got rid of that shit. Okay, that was over. That was a quick match. Anna Black was too big and too strong. It wasn't a squash though. But Bombshell Bunny was just overpowered. Anna Black is just bigger, stronger. She's one of my, yep, that was it. She's one of my few heavyweight female wrestlers. Anna Black in them heels is almost like 7 feet tall. Almost. She's a big chick. and she's a heavyweight. So yeah, there's gonna be a little more oomph to her strikes and grapples, finishers. And I maxed out the finisher damage, because that's what a finisher should be. Finish matches. So yeah, you ain't kicking out of an Anna Black finisher unless you're like, you got resiliency. I don't think I gave Bombshell Bunny resiliency.
What a match that was, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
I love her victory animation. Yeah, it's some random dude wrestler who's probably no longer in the WWE. Like I said, that's another thing that's going to suck. With a lot of the releases and stuff like that, you might not have a lot of the entrance animations and victory animations are probably be getting taken out as well. So yeah, you're not going to have many unique calls anymore. You're not. And I don't think 2K or Visual Concepts is going to take, you know, extra time creating new entrance animations or victories. Because I know they kind of did that with 2K20. They had some interesting, I think they added at least 15 to 20 new entrance animations to use and create an entrance. And I think they added like, yeah, about 15 new ending, like victories after matches animations. I don't know if they're going to do that with 2K22. But with that being said, I just want to say thank you for you guys, for those of you guys that stopped by to listen to my little rant or discussion, me talking to myself, you know, watching some matches. Thanks for stopping by, and also for you guys who will come by, you know, watch this video later, you know. Thanks for stopping by as well. You guys stay safe. God bless. And this is the Macism signing off.